Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Travel Podcast. I have got multiple guests on this episode. You're going to love it. Very exciting. We're going to be talking about the Inca Trail. Now, I am joined by three guests. We have got Tom from G Adventures. We have got Paula and Laura from Not Just Travel, and they are freshly back from completing the Inca Trail and have raised over £10,000 for our charity, the Pink Ribbon Foundation, and also other amounts of money have been distributed or will be distributed to other charities that were close to the individuals taking part. So isn't that fantastic? So I want to start by congratulating all of you. What an achievement.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, there is so much to talk about on this episode, but Tom, I'm going to start with you because you're from G Adventures and obviously the company that builds these incredible trips and experiences for people. But for any of our listeners that might not be familiar with the Inca Trail, let's just start from the beginning and set the scene and tell us all about it.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, the trail is actually part of a route, from thousands of years ago that actually starts up in Ecuador and finishes in Chile. So it's a network of routes over 40,000 kilometers that sort of spans across South America. The actual Inca Trail that we were part of is a route, I think more sort of like a religious sort of route between Cusco in Peru and Machu Picchu. Now, Machu Picchu is a mountain in the Andes, and then you'll obviously see the historic site that was built there as part of the historic site. So yeah, the Inca Trail that we did was over 4 days of hiking. We had 3 nights of camping, which was quite interesting as well for some people on the hike. That was something I hadn't done before. But hiking, I think the first day was considered the easiest day of the hike. We started at kilometer 82, which is around about 40 minutes away from Cusco. It's a pretty easy day to start the hike at kilometer 82, although we did all finish the day feeling quite exhausted and a bit worried about what was to come next. The second day is the dreaded Dead Woman's Pass, which is lots of steep stairs up to the highest point of the mountain, which is at 4,200 meters. And after that day, we have one more day that takes us to the Sun Gate, which is where you come across the famous site of Machu Picchu. So that is the Inca Trail in a nutshell. We've been running hiking tours there since over 20 years now. So we're well established out there. And we've got an amazing team of porters and guides to help us along the way.
Oh, so you are the experts at G Adventures. It sounds incredible, and I'm sure undoubtedly breathtaking, challenging, emotional, exhausting, so many different words. But Tom, why do you think it is so popular?
It's just got that, it's just such a historical site that was only found not quite recently. I think it was in the 1920s, the 1930s, something around then. And it's one of those, bucket list destinations to go to and to see, really. It's obviously grown in popularity a lot over the years. And I think basically the views of what you get to see along the way on the hike are something you'll never see anywhere else in the world. And obviously that final destination of Machu Picchu and seeing that historic site is just something, you're not going to see anywhere else in the world when you complete a hike. I definitely think those are the sort of the main points on why people choose to hike the Inca Trail.
Well, Paula and Laura, I'm going to ask you, tell me, obviously I know raising an incredible amount of money, but for both of you, had this been on your bucket list or did the opportunity present itself and you both thought, wow, this is just too good to miss?
Yeah, 100% on the bucket list. And part of my journey was I joined Not Just Travel in 2019 when they did their first charity trek, when they did their last charity trek to Colombia. It was something from that day that I wanted to do. And I know myself and Laura, as soon as they brought out, one, we were both, we've got to do this. And both very driven for that to be a bucket list thing that we wanted to do. And just hearing Tom talking now, it's a life-changing thing that we did with an amazing group of people. So just even Tom talking now, I've got the goosebumps back, and it was just incredible. So yeah, definitely something that's been on the bucket list for a long, long time.
Oh, and how about you, Laura?
Yeah, I agree with Paula. It was definitely something that had been, on the list for a long time. It was one of those. I've got a big birthday next year, let's put it that way, and I've got a bucket list of 50 things to do before I reach 50, and that's always been on there. So it was absolutely brilliant. A really, really personal one to me as well, especially with the breast cancer pink ribbon foundation, raising money for that. Very close to my own heart. My mum passed away from breast cancer when I was just 19. And I took my daughter with me on the trek. So to be able to do that with my daughter as well was really emotional and just a great experience for us both, to have. Yeah, definitely. I think life-changing is definitely the word to describe it.
Oh, and Laura, I mean, firstly, so sorry to hear that you lost your mum at such a young age. It's just devastating, isn't it? But how lovely in her memory now that you have that extra generation with your daughter. Oh,
absolutely.
This is powerful stuff.
Very much so.
Completely understand why everybody that's interested in doing this has done it in the past. Listeners that might be inspired to do it in the future. Everybody must come to this kind of experience with their own reason, their own journey, and will just get I bet so much more out of it than you ever imagined. So it's just so lovely to have a little taster of how you all got involved. So guys, obviously a lot of emotion wrapped around this, even the thought process of taking part, getting involved, raising the money to start the trip. So, Tom, I'm really interested to dive deeper into how G Adventures really does help to get everybody that takes part to the end point and overcome any of those challenges, as well as helping, of course, everybody to experience the life-changing moments that happen on a trip like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we were really lucky with our group to start off with. People knew each other somewhat, working at Not Just Travel. So we had that sort of connection before we started the tour. But on our trips as well, we try and get people connected and together before they start the trip. So we usually have a day before. Well, we had a couple of days in Lima, actually, just to really go out for dinner together and get connected. Because obviously when we're on this hike together, the support around you is really, really important. But it's not just the support around you from the people that you're trekking with, it's the people we have on the ground out there that are absolutely incredible. We have a team of porters. They're all split up into different kind of jobs, I guess. So we have a porters for just cooking for us. We have a chef and a sous chef, I guess. We had a waiter on the Inca Trail for our campsite. And we had porters carrying all of our belongings. So these guys are absolutely incredible. We struggled with a little backpack and a bottle of water on these treks, but they had over 20 kilos, I think 20 kilos of some of our belongings, our tents, our food, water, everything like that. And they would sprint ahead in front of us, get our campsites set up. I don't know how they do all this. Have food waiting for us, water, be there to applaud us and cheer us as we come through to the campsite. You can't do it well. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, absolutely. They were the best support that we had. We also had a CEO, so that's what we call our guides, the Chief Experience Officer. We had 3 guys helping us, and I think they did like an amazing job. There was a few people that struggled, maybe were behind the group a little bit, and they, someone would stay back with them the whole time, helping them wherever they can. And then there'll be someone at the front to help with that group, and sort of someone in the middle as well to support those. So yeah, without those guys, I don't think we would have made it, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
They sound like professional athletes to be able to whiz around those kind of distances in a matter of hours, where obviously for you guys, you're looking at like a 9-hour trek and they're doing it in 3.5 hours. It doesn't seem humanly possible, but you obviously were incredibly well looked after. And let's talk about any of the challenges that the team did help you to overcome.
Yeah, well, I think altitude sickness affected a few people, actually. I didn't think it would affect me, so I've been skiing, snowboarding, in the Alps before. But it got to a point at Dead Woman's Pass where every step I took, my head was pounding, a massive headache. I was feeling sick. But then we had our guides there to support us, and they were like, they kind of basically sat with me and said, take it easy, it's okay, you don't have to rush this. Just do it in your own time. And I think they did the same with other people on the trek as well, didn't they?
I think that was the beauty of it as well, is at no stage, even if you were a bit slower. So I was really slow. I mean, the inclines are huge, particularly day 2. You incline over 2,000 meters in a day, and it's not just uphill, it's 6,000 steps, I think. Climbing up these old ruins as they are. There was no pressure at any stage to do it faster, to get there within a certain time, and you really did feel supported, not just by the teams who were absolutely brilliant, but by each other as well. And I think that was the beauty of it, is everybody helped each other get up or down. The downs were just as bad as the ups. For some, even worse. I actually enjoyed the downs, flew the downs, but for some, the downs were much harder than the ups. It's just challenging. I think that's the thing. No pressure at all as to to do it within any designated times or speeds, and that was the beauty. Somebody was always there with you every step of the way, which was great.
That's so nice. And for anybody listening that this could be on their bucket list, or a similar experience, that understandably probably is the concern, like, how fit do you need to be? That would probably be a question that I'd be going through my mind. Was there lots of training involved before taking part?
There should have been a lot more, but there wasn't. But I think this is the beauty of this. There were, numerous different levels of fitness amongst us, different ages. So I think, we ranged in ages as well, from sort of like, we had a 19-year-old with us, Olivia, our little young'un, right the way up to, some of the older people. We won't divulge maximum ages, and all shapes and sizes and all levels of fitness, and we all made it, and we all enjoyed it. I think it's the way to describe it. So yeah, you do need to have obviously a certain level of fitness, but it was doable. Yeah,
you just power through, though.
Like, you do. You're right. Yeah,
you're absolutely exhausted. You're tired. Your legs are aching. The altitude's getting to you. You've got no option at the end of the day. It's either you walk back or you walk forward. So everyone just powers on through and gets through it. It works somehow.
There's a lot of mindset in there, isn't there? There's that like positive mental attitude of working, you want to achieve it. So even the ones like struggling, it was that they had more resilience, probably more than those that were maybe, as Laura said, there was no time factor, but the ones at the front, in a way, had it easier because they were on their legs for less time. But those at the back, they had so much resilience because they were not going to give up. And I think we were all behind each other with that fact. We all had that same goal in our mind, that we were all going to get to Machu Picchu together. So I think that's what's really key as well. And I think the biggest thing there is, with the altitude, you have no way of knowing, because you could be the fittest person, but actually the altitude gets you, and you can't breathe properly, and you're being sick, and it doesn't matter if you're the fittest person there. If that hits you, you've still got that biggest challenge of getting up there. But definitely the emotion kicks in when you do get there. So 100% that is there.
When you reach those checkpoints, it's like such a great feeling to say, you know, we've made it to the next camp. And then obviously when we got to the Sun Gate, which was the final day, and we all saw Machu Picchu, the skies were blue as anything as well. We had heaps of rain during the night, but clearest skies ever. You know, you can't compare it to anything else. It's really incredible.
I can imagine it's something you can't even articulate. You can't put into words the feeling that you must have felt inside, and the camaraderie, the sense of achievement, the exhaustion, the emotion. Wow, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about you all in that final moment as a team together. But as I say, what an achievement! And the thing, Tom, I think about why I'm sure G Adventures as a company, as you said, you've been organising trips for over 20 years like this. But I think in this modern society that we're all living in, the hustle and bustle, and there's actually a lot of loneliness because people often do work from home, even though we're more connected than we've ever been through social media and the internet. Often we are living more solitary lives now, which is really sad. And actually, I can imagine something like this could do so many people the world of good, to have that sense of community, that sense of family, that friendship, because we are lacking that now as a society. And to not be worried about the outside world, posing, you know, on Instagram and comparing yourself to what everyone else is doing, but just to purely focus on a task, achievement, resilience, the natural beauty must be pure escapism from modern life, you know?
Absolutely. And the fact that you've got, you know, once you get past a certain point on day one, you have no mobile coverage at all. You know, you are out there, you know, just with the people that you've traveled with. You know, you've no contact with home, no contact with anybody, no social media, no emails coming through, you know, which is it's really different in this day and age, as you say, because we are constantly connected to something somewhere along the line. To just have that disconnect for a few days and just, you know, just be out there in that natural habitat with the beauty. I mean, so beautiful, or, you know, every step along the way was just a really nice disconnect.
And that's what something that everyone mentioned, that they actually enjoyed not being on their phone or not having that.
Sounds dreamy to me, guys. Honestly, it really does. That sounds like one of the best bits, because you've got a genuine excuse, like, sorry, I can't answer my emails right now because she just can't get a hold of me. How lovely. And of course, you know, you're with the team from G Adventures, you're in the safest of hands. So any of those concerns, of course, any sort of emergencies, there are strategies to cope. You will be completely, you know, whisked away and looked after in the worst case scenario. But how lovely to escape from the phones. But I bet you did want to still use them to some extent, because you must have wanted to capture those memories.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing as well. You know, Paula and I, particularly, you know, to get the videos and to do all of those sort of things, you know, there's nowhere to power up your phones either. So we had to carry, you know, power packs to be able to take the photos, to take the videos, you know, to record every single moment of it, you know, to then sort of like, you know, pass that on to, you know, to everybody else, you know, on your social media and, you know, all of those sort of things. So, yeah. Loads and loads of photos. And I think, Tom, you had your GoPro with you, did you? There was a stage on the trek where you knew if you heard the GoPro, everyone was like, that one in the future, that one always remind us of Tom.
Yeah, I tried my best to get some cool footage, and obviously it just doesn't match being there at all. It looks amazing on the screen, but you're always thinking, oh, it doesn't look the same. I guess it doesn't have that feel that comes with being there as well.
So, guys, the power banks for the phones, great tip. But you must have picked up so many top tips that we could pass on to listeners who might want to do the Inca Trail or something similar in the future.
Yeah, I think my sort of top tip is going to be just take your time. It's not a race at the end of the day. The main thing is that everyone gets to the final destination, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. So yeah, just take your time and don't worry about what everyone else is doing on the trail either. There was points where I was on my own for maybe an hour or two, and maybe even longer. Mark, I think he was on his own for a few hours, but in actual fact, those moments were quite nice, just to sit and reflect on your own and have sort of your own, be with your own thoughts. So yeah, don't worry about everyone else. Don't treat this as a race. Take your own time.
Paula, what about you?
Really travel light. I probably took a bit too much, and I think there's others that probably would totally agree. They probably took too much. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It's just about being practical. So just really pack light, I would say. And my other one would be linked to altitude, because the first night I did really struggle with altitude sickness. And I took the tablets, but my other top tip would be electrolytes, because it really helped with that kind of, because it was quite warm, and it really helped with that kind of dehydration part of it.
Anything else to add there, Laurie?
They prepare your water for you. So obviously in a lot of these places, they sort of like boil your water. Now to conquer the altitude sickness, they brew you a tea called that's made with coca leaves. By day 3, everything tastes like coca leaf tea, which to start with is really nice. But by day 3, you're like that. I could not drink another piece of coca leaf tea. So take something to put in your water. Paula saved my life on this one. I will be honest with you, because I really, with the nausea, I couldn't stomach any more of the sort of like just plain water or coca leaf tea. And Paula, with this idea that we shared everything, Paula saved my life with some, some Barocca that went into the water, which just made it taste, a bit more normal. And I think it's just don't rush, take the time and really take everything in, really take the time to take everything in, because, it is potentially a once in a lifetime experience, and really make the most of that. And look up, I think is the thing. You're so busy looking down to make sure you don't fall over most of the time on the steps, but look up, every now and then, and really take in your surroundings, because they are astounding.
Some great advice there.
Yeah, and definitely sort of following on from Paula about packing light. I wish I took far less clothes. I probably got away with 2 pairs of trousers and maybe 3 t-shirts in the end, I think. And it was a lot hotter than we thought it was going to be, even at night time. I think we had one quite cold night, but the other nights I took loads of layers for the evening, so it wasn't necessary at all. So yeah, just don't overpack, because you have to carry a lot of stuff for yourself.
Wow, I mean, just incredible what we've talked about so far. But before I let you go, I don't want to finish the episode without just sort of sharing a little bit more about the Pink Ribbon Foundation. Now, I've been lucky enough to be an ambassador of the charity for a number of years now, and involved in lots of different initiatives and fundraising. They do so much, and it's been an absolute privilege to see firsthand the work that they do and how the charity works to genuinely make a difference to so many people's lives. And I really feel like with the Pink Ribbon Foundation, as it is a foundation, the way that the money raised is distributed goes into communities. So I'll give you an example. It might be that a remote village in Scotland applies to the Pink Ribbon Foundation for funding for a Macmillan nurse in that area. So that could make a huge difference to that community and for the men and women and families that are affected by breast cancer. So many different projects get funded and help, which is incredible. But Laura, I'd love for you to tell our listeners the sort of the Not Just Travel personal story of all the different charities that we could have chosen, why Pink Ribbon was the one that we really wanted to get behind.
Yeah, so Pink Ribbon Foundation is one that's really close to, Not Just Travel's heart on the whole. One of our own wonderful travel consultants, Rachel, has fought breast cancer twice, still fighting. So she is a real sort of like, ambassador for that as well, and an absolute warrior, in everything that she's done and has overcome. So it's really close to our hearts at Not Just Travel, and it's a really great, foundation, as you say, and they do so much. So from a Not Just Travel point of view, that was, our goal. I think that's one of the things that we really love at Not Just Travel is, we bond with our travel consultants, that we get so close to them, and, we almost sort of like live our lives with them as well. So it's really nice to sort of like raise money for something that's so close to everybody's hearts. Not very many people, sadly, these days and ages who aren't affected, in some way by breast cancer. So for us, a really great cause.
Oh, well, we are running out of time, but Tom, I just wanted to find out a little bit more about G Adventures. The Inca Trail, obviously iconic on the bucket list for so many people. But at G Adventures, that's not the only opportunity to do a trip like this. There's lots of different options that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually got over 850 itineraries worldwide. We visit over 100 countries. We go to every continent in the world. So we've got different trips to suit everyone. So even if people are thinking, they don't want to be hiking the Inca Trail or anything strenuous, don't worry. We've got you covered for other trips that, will be adventurous for you in a different way. But if you are looking to do something, maybe raise money for a charity, of course, we've got the Inca Trail. We can do Everest Base Camp. We go to Kilimanjaro. Not Just Travel did the Lost City trekking in Colombia in 2019 as well with us. Lots and lots of different options. We've also got trips to Bhutan, which I saw and I shared in the WhatsApp group of everyone else because it looked like an amazing trek. Plenty of options for our customers. And I just want to sort of note that we're really focused on being a community tourism operator. So we like to make sure that the money that our customers are spending are going into the local communities and actually benefiting them as well. So it's not just money being spent and not staying in the economies that you're going to. It's going to those communities. We use local services, local guides, to make sure that people are benefiting from tourism in the right way. But yeah, loads of options.
Oh, you'll be spoiled for choice. And finally, just to end, Paula and Laura, I'd love for you to tell our listeners who might be thinking, wow, this has reignited the idea within them that maybe they've had or they've often thought, oh, could I do one of these adventures? Could I do one of these treks or experiences around the world? Perhaps they're still slightly on the fence. What would you both say to any of our listeners in that situation?
Just absolutely do it. Absolutely do it. It's life-changing, and that's with the having a group as well, you just really bond as a group and you're there for each other. But also doing it for a charity, as we did, means so much more as well. So my top number one advice is do it.
So I echo exactly what Paula just said there as well. Do it, book it, get in touch with your travel consultant, get it booked, get out there and do it. Life is too short, an experience to be had. So just get it booked and do it.
Brilliant. Well, it's a great place to end the episode. Tom, Paula, Laura, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. Massive achievement. Super proud of all of you. Well done flying the flag and raising so much money and having a life-changing travel experience at the same time. So well done to all of you. Thank you for listening. Our lovely listeners that are tuning in every week, we really appreciate you. We hope this episode has been inspiring. If you'd like any more information on the Pink Ribbon Foundation, please do head to their website, or just easy to find on Instagram or Facebook as well if you'd like more details. And please do share this episode with anyone else that you think would enjoy it. If you have been inspired, like I'm sure you have, please do speak to the travel consultant that sent you this link, and they would absolutely love to help you. As Tom said before, there's something for absolutely everyone. If the thought of trekking and altitude sickness just isn't right for you, you can do something a lot more gentle but equally as amazing. There is so much to choose from, and your travel consultant is here to help. Thanks again for listening, and I will be back with you next week.